just because.
Bullies. We've all had them. Whether they pick on you for the way you dress, for the way you speak, or just you as an individual, bullying can come in various shapes and sizes, especially by today's standards. I remember in my youth, about 7th or 8th grade at the time, I hadn't even realized I was being bullied. I used to carry around this 18 by 24 sketchbook everywhere I went, and I would constantly be doodling and drawing and doing still lifes, anatomy, studies, whatever you can think of. These bullies would enjoy taking it and actually throwing it around, having me in the middle like monkey in the middle. Other times they'd slap the hell out of my neck. They used to call it grilling someone's shit because I guess after, smacking their neck so hard it was hot to the touch. And most disturbingly, I was once flung a used condom at. Kids can be so cruel. Hindsight, of course, is 2020, but at the time I didn't even think anything of it because simply I was not the only one being bullied like that. I was not special. All of my friends were. But there are times in the past that truly define a person, whether you like it or not. For me, that was when we were in music class. I believe I used to play the trombone, and a bully began to wail on my friend's face while the teacher had to step out very quickly. It had felt like time itself slowed and everyone was just watching. Each time the bully's fist made contact with my friend's face, his head would hit the wall, bounce right back off from the wall into another one, rinse and repeat. And to this day, I felt that feeling that Deku had in season 1. My body just kind of moved on its own, and before I knew it, I had the guy in a full Nelson. Obviously, the teacher came back and didn't understand the full story, so me, my friend, and the bully all got in trouble, and we got in-school suspension. Man, being a kid actually sucked ass. Now anyways, what was I even talking about? Why did I go on this tangent? Right. Bullying can be pretty brutal, and Rule of Rose really dives deep into that. Rule of Rose is a horror game unlike anything else from its era. Released in 2006 for the PlayStation 2, it tells a story of Jennifer, a young woman trapped in a world ruled by cruel children who force her through these twisted games and endless humiliation. On the surface, it looks like a forgotten survival horror title, but dig deeper and you'll find something far more disturbing. Rule of Rose isn't about ghosts or monsters, it's about bullying, childhood trauma, and the scars those experiences could leave behind. Here lies an uncomfortable story worth exploring. Why does this game about bullying still resonate nearly 2 decades later? What is actually happening within Jennifer's nightmare? And why should we care? Today we're going to take a closer look at Rule of Rose, the story, the themes, the controversy, and why its message about cruelty and survival is more relevant than ever. Alright guys, on the real, this game is extremely distressing. Okay, I will say this game, for a large part of a lot of the games I play, obviously I know what I'm getting into. I know exactly what's going to spook me. I know what to warn you guys about. But this game was a bit different. I had never known of what it was. I never knew what it could have been about. And I only knew that there was some controversy around the game. It was banned in the UK in certain areas. And so I was like, that sounds super cool. But I underestimated it. I'm not even done with the game as of recording this as we speak. And there has been countless times where I'm sitting on stream, literally speechless, because I don't know whether they're going that way or if they're not. And my chat just keeps telling me, don't worry, bro, it gets a little worse. And I'm like, how does it get worse than this? So we're going to talk about all the things that I know so far in which they're going to showcase. But we're going to see child endangerment. We're going to see adult predacy. We're going to talk about or show negligence, severe bullying, depression, pretty much anything you can think of. It's going to be in the game into this video. And I just wanted to hit you guys with a disclaimer warning before you get into it, because it is it's a very bold game. Let me just say that. It's very bold. The reason why I even felt like I needed to talk about this is because right out of the gates, it swung for the fences in terms of uncomfortability. The game has this weird sexual undertone the entire time, and when you have children who are playing the prominent roles in this game, you start to wonder like, what exactly are we, what are we being shown here? And so I just wanted to let you guys know before you get into it. It has a reason, it has a purpose for being shot the way that it's shot, and it is telling a very grotesque story in a very unfiltered light. So if that's your cup of tea and if you're interested, it is a good game and I will love to show you guys. So let's get right into the game. The game begins with a cutscene. It's a long one, but I feel it's important to show it to its fullest capacity.
My shame when I call your name, so please don't set me free. I'm as heavy as can be. I will do you harm, I will break my arm. I'm a victim of your charm. I want to be dead when I'm in bed. I can be so mean, you can beat me. I would like to shame you, I would like to blame you, just because of my love to you. Love itself, just as innocent as roses in May. I know nothing can drive it away. But love itself, just a brief
My name is Joshua. I will serve you, princess. Just kiss me, please.
We are then brought to the starting menu, and when clicking start, we get yet another cutscene. However, this one starts off as a fairy tale of sorts.
Once upon a time, there was a precious little girl. Her friend, the princess of the Red Rose,
was always at her side.
We then see our main character on the train trying to sleep. She is then awakened by some random child who instructs her to finish the story for him. The problem is the story isn't finished and some of the book remains blank. When she looks up, the kid's running off somewhere, and when going to chase after them, the bus fucking leaves us behind like that one episode from SpongeBob. And this kickstarts the game's first chapter. Once trying to chase after the child, Jennifer would be forced to go up this path. What I found strange is that if you choose to just follow the road and continue walking straight, you will be transported back to the beginning in an endless loop. Alright, so I'm already seeing a bunch of different... Did we just loop? Oh, we really are in the town of Silent Hill. Hold on, we're gonna run again and then see if we loop. Yup. Okay, so that's... Yeah, that's the town of Silent Hill, alright. The fog wants us to go this way. But as I said, once going up the path, Jennifer would hear a dog cry. She'd follow the noise to a shack, and once opening up the shack door, the dog cry would be gone and only a dog collar remains. Strangely, she could hear the dog's cries from outside of the shack. It seems someone is playing a cruel trick on us. But Jennifer, as pure as she is, goes to follow the noise once again. This time, however, she would come across a large gate in an estate of some kind. But even more strangely, she'd find the boy that she was chasing after, and the kids are brutally beating up a mysterious sack right in front of him. Not wanting to disclose herself, she would go around and enter in from the back. And I have forgot to mention, but at the shack you can also get a boarding pass. And so you use that boarding pass, you put it in a slot, and you gain access to the building. It doesn't make sense, but we would come to learn that this place is actually ran by children, so a lot of things just don't make adult sense. And once entering into the property, we are able to walk through the doors. Inside it is very dark and all we can hear are childs and children snickering. The narrator would say that Jennifer could feel all types of peers looking at her, however she truly felt alone. And in this next section of the game, it's supposed to have been very simple and, a spot and chase mechanic. When entering into the room, we will see a little boy running up the stairs into a door. We, the player, are supposed to follow them. My dumbass managed to get soft locked because of course I do. It would not be a Yuri Clark gameplay if I didn't get myself stuck somehow. Okay, so there's nothing here. I remember, that just leads to like a whole lot of nothingness. Maybe I'm not doing my due diligence enough. Okay, so let's get out of here. If I can't figure it out in like 5 minutes, I'm gonna look it up to see what another person does, and that way we're not super stuck. Because I know these streams, I really only got about 3 hours in me, and so I don't want to waste my time not knowing where to go. She's hacking. She went in the hallway. She bust a left? Nah, she's hacking. There's no way. There's no way, bro. I did that. Hold on, let me reset. The problem that I had was that when showing the child running up the stairs, it was at a completely different angle. But thanks to the tank controls, once the cutscene was over, we're at a weird, different angle. So every single time it would be in a completely different direction than what we just saw, confusing my brain. So my brain just never registered, oh, the boy went straight to me. It looked like the boy went to the right. Obviously, I digress because I'm just making excuses for my poor gaming skills, but once following the child correctly, we come across a doll whose head goes limp. Of course, spooky stuff. Now, a thing to remember, this room is called the filth room, and also take note of how the doll is placed. All these things are going to be good callbacks, and they are telling a bigger story without telling you anything at all. We then find a faded photo. It showcases a bunch of children at the orphanage along with a couple of adults. Again, without the kid being anywhere in sight, we go outside and we chase after him again, using the same mechanics I explained earlier, and eventually we would be led to a room. This room will also be very important, but for now we find a boy atop a throne. He calls Jennifer a slowpoke and tells her to finish the story from earlier. And when taking out the storybook that was given to us, there is an extra page. And the poor little girl was sent away to a strange house. At her new home, the aristocrat club lived by the rule of rose, but the girl found herself very much alone. That's all we got. Sorry, kid, we only got one extra page. Actually, we will now begin the funeral. All those attending, please gather around at this time. Okay. Okay. While reading that, we would then hear the intercom of a child saying that the funeral is about to begin. They usher everybody who's going to attend to the courtyard. After the cutscene ends, the boy would actually just straight up disappear, leaving us with only one directive, to go to the courtyard. And when doing so, we would find no children out there, only the overwhelming impulse to begin digging up a grave.
Just look at you. You're filthy.
Joining us on our flight. Attention all passengers. We will be taking off in a short while. Please take all large luggage to Section 8 of the freight storage compartment. Thank you.
watching this scene, I just kept feeling something weird. From the get-go, I was feeling something weird was going on, and live on stream, it just kind of blew over. I was in a weird sense of I didn't want to say anything because if I was wrong, you know, it would just be something completely out of pocket to say. But of course, you're talking to Yuri here, so of course I'm going to talk about it anyway. He said, if you're feeling uncomfortable in this game, it's intentional. No, I'm really trying to keep a open mind. I do feel like if I had to guess, I don't think it is just the like if I had to guess, like then this is gonna be far out. I have no clue, but I feel like obviously the princess is us, and I do think we were sent to an orphanage and we were treated poorly. If it went down this way, I don't think so, but I think we really truly felt alone to the point where even the adults in my life were not treating Jennifer very well. And if I had to guess, I'm pretty sure the bald old man is probably an individual that sexually assaulted this young child. And I think that's why there's this weird like undertone sense of like sexual intensity. Even though they're like nothing but children here in the beginning, it was just like and I don't want to say this because like let's say I say this and it comes out to be wrong, everybody's looking at me like you're a freak. But like genuinely when I was watching it, from everything with like the sucking on the fingers of the little girl felt weird. The little kids dangling their feet, they never showed, like they just keep going to their legs and feet. The feet on the face, I was like, what is going on? Like, is this bullying or is this something else? What's going on? And so I just keep trying not to say anything. But even in that last form there, I feel like when she got trapped in the casket, she's wearing a short skirt first and foremost, which is interesting. And we're just seeing like a very weird camera angle where it's like instead of her face, they could have easily like I've taken storyboarding classes, they could have easily just like fucking closed in on her face and made it like claustrophobic for us the viewer. But they chose to put it near her crotch. I don't know why, but they did. And even when she was getting poured on with like water and shit, that just felt sexually charged too. I'm sitting here like, okay, there is a sense of bullying for sure, but then there's this undertone of implied sexual harassment. And I mean, I like dark things, but I don't know how to feel about it. Overrated, Brad. But smooth after this Yap session, we are then put into chapter 2. Why hello, it is post-editing Yuri, aka future Yuri, and I was editing Rule of Rose, and I was feeling like before I got into the video, I had previously thought that I was just going to talk about all of Rule of Rose, then I was going to move into the themes and then the controversy, but surprisingly, this game is going to be long. I could already tell. The first pretty much introduction of this game is already 20 minutes long, and so I said, you know what, I don't want to get too far into the game because I do think explaining the controversies would actually do do the game justice. And I feel like the talking about the controversies of the game could truly just fully expand upon how this kind of domino effect or a butterfly effect or even affected how games are created today, because obviously it's a 2006 game, it's a little older, and so maybe this was crawling and while other things began to run. And so I just wanted to talk about it. And another thing is I am super eager to finally have a YouTube friend, my boy Ratat. He is a fellow YouTuber, he makes fire content. Obviously he's most known for, and this is the video I saw you on, was lightning in a bottle, where he explained how Until Dawn may never really get back to that level because it was just lightning in a bottle. But I digress. Enough of that. I'm gonna let him get on the sticks. He's gonna talk about the controversy, and we're gonna probably interchange whatever he doesn't talk about. I'll talk about, and whatever I don't talk about, he'll talk about. So, you got the floor, my boy.
Hey, so a lot of the conversation around Rule of Rose is focused on just how controversial the game is. And whilst, yeah, the game does feature dark themes, which you're about to hear all about, it's nothing unheard of for the time or egregiously morbid. It's probably more accurate to say that Rule of Rose has a controversial trailer. Despite seeing positive reviews and reception in its home country of Japan, the West absolutely lost their minds at just the idea of Rule of Rose following its 2006 E3 announcement. Before anyone had even had a chance to actually play the game, there were rumours circulating in the British and Italian press that the game featured in-game sadomasochism, children buried alive, and underage eroticism. As Yuri explains the plot, I'd like you to keep a mental counter of just how many times any of these things happen. Spoiler, it's none. It's zero, it doesn't happen. Things got so bad that European Justice Minister Franco Frattini called for the PEGI rating system to be reformed on account of the game's, quote, obscene brutality, unquote. And the game was investigated by the European Court under the guise of trying to define a code of conduct for the sale and distribution of children's video games, even though the game had already been given a rating of 17 and up in most areas, so parents would need to get this game if a child wanted to play it. The Deputy Education Minister of Poland called for the game to be banned, and eventually the game was outright cancelled in Australia, New Zealand, and my home of the United Kingdom. Whilst Publisher 505 did issue a statement begging politicians and journalists to consider actually playing the game before banning it, even hosting an event where they could do just that, and affirming that a lot of the alleged scenes weren't even in the game or just complete fabrications, they largely fell on deaf ears. As a result, the game sold incredibly poorly outside of Japan, but became something of a cult classic, with physical copies now being very expensive and sought after collector's items.
Hey, appreciate it, Ratat. And there you have it. It is almost been 2 decades since the game has been released to the public, and it's insane to just kind of look back in hindsight and see that nothing has really changed. But especially now with the culture of social media, X and Instagram and everything else, everybody believes themselves to be absolutely right. Everyone believes themselves to have the answer. Everyone believes themselves to never be wrong. And there's no better place that's more prominent than Blue Lock, the fan base for Blue Lock, or even any type of, actually, let's just dumb it down to the scan culture, where only people watch through like TikTok or Instagram Reels, or they read the scans and then they don't read the actual chapters. It used to happen with JJK. Now I see it happening with Blue Lock, where people will literally only read what they see. Like, for example, people think that Isagi, if you watch Blue Lock, people believe that Isagi is just winning too much, that the show or that the manga has become kind of stale because we know he's going to win somehow. And there was this one part where, I think it was like a chapter or two ago, where Isagi is playing against, or Blue Lock is playing against Nigeria, and essentially Isagi's running on the field, and maybe 5 minutes into the play, he's like, I understand how to defeat them. I know the yellow brick road. I know exactly how we're gonna beat these motherfuckers, right? And so people saw that one panel, they didn't read the actual chapter, and they started saying that Isagi's too OP. There's no way he already knows how to defeat them, that it's gonna go stale again, that it's just doing all the same things bad and wrong, right? But if you were to actually read the chapter, if you were actually to ingest what's happening, it is almost blaringly kicking you in the face that the star player for Nigeria, Onazi, is their beaming light. It's not too hard to say that Osagi could see that and be like, hey, if we just snuff this guy out, essentially their entire pillar is just going to crumble. Now, we don't know if that's true, but that's what Isagi believes. And so it's just kind of like, everybody who doesn't read the manga would never know that. And then to kind of relate it to what we were talking about with Rule of Rose, where my boy Ratat said that essentially they saw the trailer, they saw Jennifer get into a casket and get buried alive. They saw two of these like younger children, I think it's Wendy and Joshua. I still don't know the lore because I haven't finished the game, but I know the characters' names almost. And they were very intimately rubbing each other. And, you know, people could watch that trailer and be like, ugh, brother, what's that, brother? What's that? You know what I'm saying? But also, as Ratat said, keep a mental counter. None of that stuff has ever happened. The game 100% goes dark places. Like, we do see like small instances of sexual harassment and negligence to these children and trauma and all these nasty predatory things. However, all the things that they listed was just simply not true. Everything that they listed, had they actually played the game, instead of just judging a book by its cover, they would have seen that all these things serve a metaphorical purpose. These children aren't really being buried alive. These children aren't doing anything intimate, and there isn't any cult narcissism. I don't know what you said, Rat, but it was something like it. But there isn't any of that if you actually played even 2 seconds of the game. Once again, thank you, Rat, for even hopping on this video. And if y'all enjoyed his little segment, go tap out. Don't go tap out. Go tap into his stuff. Where I actually hopped on a recent video as well. His most recent one, Divine Evolution, I believe it's called. And so I'll have it somewhere on the screen, but just know it's there. And let's get back into the video. This chapter begins with us roped up to a pillar, very reminiscent of the doll that we just saw. Keep that in mind. While tied there, we would then hear a child's voice on the intercom, the prince. The child basically tells us that we are a part of the aristocrat club, and that we are at the bottom of the social barrel. They then tell Jennifer that she will be killed if she does not apply the monthly payment of 1 gift per month, all the while calling us a bad girl. During this conversation, of course, Jennifer can respond, but it really doesn't change the outcome of anything. If we agree, we are a bad girl. If we disagree, we are a bad girl. And if we choose to say nothing, we are still a bad girl. But alas, agreeing or disagreeing, it doesn't really matter, as we still have one objective: get the gift or die. Once getting cut free, we can do some things, but this is basically just a safe room where you can put a bucket on top of a scarecrow, I guess, and that'll be our save point moving on in the game. Other parts is also pretty crazy, as the game's storage system for Jennifer, it's a garbage can. To say the very least, she is talking to inanimate objects and is putting her stuff in a garbage can. I think that speaks volumes to how she views herself and how she was treated. However, when leaving the room, you are able to come across a couple of characters. I'm not going to talk about every single child that you come across, but just know that we are not liked. Literally every single child we come across will hate us, or at least have some form of disdain towards us. Even the adults. But while all the children do hate us, you will quickly realize the hierarchy of this aristocratic club, where there are just 3 main girls that will make our lives living hell. But making it through the airship, I forgot to mention we are on an airship now, for whatever reason. Pretty sure this is all just symbolic for something, I'm not really sure. We would then come across the Aristocrats Club door. This is where we submit our 1 month per payment. This month they are asking for a beautiful butterfly. Hey, it's a good thing that we actually saw a beautiful green butterfly early on in the game. And so when going back over there and trying to get the butterfly, it would fly away. Of course, chasing after it, we would find it in this weird area where there's a bunch of Clover doors. It's obviously 1 through 4, and each of these doors need a certain key to be opened up. I'm sure that's going to be a future puzzle, but we don't care about that right now. We just need our monthly payment. However, the butterfly is right in front of this little girl who's crying. Now, everybody's hated me so far, but there's no way an actual toddler would hate me too, right?
You deserve to be gobbled up.
Well, I'll be damned. I'm actually legit hated by everyone. But hey, it's her loss because I actually come up with a weapon, the fork that she stabbed into the ground, and my next month's payment. And it's also a good thing that we get this weapon because on our way back to the Aristocrats Club door, we run into this enemy that looks like a child but with voided eyes.
Fuck off me, bitch! Yeah, nigga! Come on! Come on! Bitch ass nigga! Yeah, get up! Get up! Get skiboed, bitch! Bitch ass nigga! Yeah! This is so stupid. What's up? Uh-huh. Bitch ass nigga. Yeah! Scream about it. Yeah! Get teabagged on. Get teabagged on.
We stabbed the shit out of him easily. It is some of the most jankiest combats I've ever seen in a long time. I really thought Silent Hill 2 was bad, so this one is much worse somehow. But there's something strangely nostalgic about it. I was having a blast playing it. We would then finally get all the way back to the Aristocrat Club's door, and when turning in our monthly payment, only for them to spit in my face saying that it's not beautiful at all. That's kinda crazy. Absolute insanity. Do they not realize that I had to kill a child to get this butterfly? After literally getting spat in the face, a group of kids would run by and they would drop a key for us. This key has a single clover on it. A very strange item to get out of the blue, but I'm sure again it's going to relate back to that puzzle I mentioned earlier. And what do you know? When we were walking, we would encounter this old looking gentleman. He doesn't say anything, but he hands us this thing called, I actually don't know what it's called, like Cloverfield something, okay? And in it has 4 stories, each of which kind of tells us a story and the hints to where the keys and locations will be. For example, within the first story it says that it was dropped on a road, kind of similar or relating to the children who just dropped that single key right in front of us. The second one saying that this key can be found in the shadows. The third key saying that a witch hid it away, and the fourth key basically saying we were too unlucky to find it because obviously the 4-leaf clover is the lucky clover. Time to start looking. While looking around, we would actually find a button in which we can click it. It lowers the scissors that had once cut us free in the first place, and this is something that I completely forgot to mention. You might be wondering where the hell is Buttercup, or the dog that we saw earlier, the dog that we were chasing after. Remember the dog from the beginning cutscene? Where is he at? The dog whimpering and crying, where is he at? Yeah, we found him. We found him like 40 minutes earlier. He's tied up. He's bondage. We couldn't get him out. But it's totally okay now because now we have scissors that we can cut them free with. It's amazing. The game then gives us this really long but informative tutorial because this is going to be an essential part of playing the game. Essentially, we can use Buttercup. His actual name is Brown, but I'm going to call him Buttercup because I like that name better. We can use Buttercup to search items for us. Things that aren't usually seen with the naked eye, Buttercup can find. And we can just scream at the dog to find whatever it is that we're looking for. Honestly, it's a pretty neat mechanic. I really enjoyed it. As cool as a mechanic this was, it did take some time to really get used to it. I pretty much just have to abuse the mechanic to do anything in the game, but once figuring that out, I just kind of spent a good chunk of 10 minutes just glazing Buttercup. Bro, this game just went from like a good 7 out of 10 so far to a fucking 9 out of 10 just cause like this shit's filling me with happiness, bro. Look at this dog, bro. And while I was following the dog, we would see something quite disturbing. As disturbing as that is, we have something that we need to do, and so we just kind of mind our business. We need the butterfly, and it seems as if the butterfly is behind the second door with the 2-leaf clover. So we first got to figure out that whole puzzle. So when entering into the single key Clover, we can check all the doors and none of them will open, and it leaves me for a loss of words. I was truly annoyed, but as I was saying, I'm serious when I tell you you have to abuse Buttercup's abilities, because once making Buttercup sniff out the Clover part that we literally found like probably 10 minutes earlier, it'll just manifest into thin air. It is insane to me, allowing for us to then finally put 2 and 2 together and creating the 2-leaf clover. And remember when I said it was behind the second door? I actually lied. The butterflies actually are behind the 3-leaf clover one, so we still got a little bit more work to do. But that's okay, because when entering into the 2-leaf clover door, we come across 3 doors that we can enter into. We have first one labeled cafeteria, the other door is blocked by some asshole children, and the third one is labeled room 9 or something mysterious. Obviously the child won't let us into that door, so it really only leaves us with 2 doors. And the cafeteria door really doesn't have anything going for it other than a new weapon, so that's about it. However, remember the lady that got dragged up in that cutscene and was beaten brutally? Apparently her name is Martha, and Martha dropped her hat. And so when reaching all the way up to the stairwell, we can find Martha's hat, and using Buttercup to sniff it out, we are guided to room 9. Cloverfield's guidebook or whatever it's called that was given to us, they said the witch had actually hidden the 3rd leaf clover. Well, well, well. When entering into the room, guess who we hear? The witch. A dank rag then kind of just appears right in front of us, and essentially we use that for Buttercup to sniff out, and we are guided to the 3-leaf clover. And the example book, it said that it was shrouded in a secret spot, but Buttercup just rips away some wallpaper and it's behind there, so it's not super secret. But that's what I mean by like very mystical, you know, fable things end up becoming just very childlike very quickly in this game. But now we have the key, and we go back to the door and we search for the butterfly, and then we see this creepy child within the room. When entering, apparently this girl's name is Amanda. She is guarding this butterfly with her life. She does not want to give it up, and she basically doesn't give it up. And so when exiting out of the room, she comes out and gives us this freaky smile, displaying the dead taxidermied butterfly, and then she runs off. We of course chase after her, but she just no clips. Like I think she actually might be an imposter with the way that she vented, because no way someone that big is like gone. Like I don't understand. You outran Buttercup, let's be real. But at last, it doesn't really matter, because we find ourselves another beautiful butterfly this time. And when chasing it around, it multiplies into 2, and then into 4, and then into 6, and then you got a dozen. Then it leads right back to the Clover room.
Yes, there it is. Let's get it. The girl found a beautiful butterfly, a beautiful blue butterfly. This butterfly would surely make a satisfactory gift. It surely would, wouldn't it? To grab it. All she needed to do is catch it and take the gift. Place waste paper in the rubbish bin in the laundry in the filth room. Stray dog gives us sweets. Stray dog gets kindness, kids. Or kidnaps kids. Stray dog comes at night. Children who don't clean up will be punished. Hello, boys and girls. No. It's time for some cleaning.
The butterfly then gets zapped and we get ambushed. Luckily, I am a pro at this game and I don't even get hit once.
What the fuck? And square up, bitch! Yup. Oh shit. Okay, hold on. I gotta get a little closer. Bitch ass nigga. Alright. He's on the ground. Okay, killed his ass. Mink. Oh shit, you got me. No! Get zooted on, bitch. Hold on. Your iframes are crazy. They're still coming! Alright, let's just leave.
Okay, I lied. But I do quickly realize that I don't need to sit here and attack every single enemy, and so me and Buttercup just make a run for it. But now with the butterfly in hand, we make it back to the aristocrat club. Bobbing and weaving and dodging and running. We do all type of things. But somehow, like I said, Amanda must be an imposter because she somehow beat us to the room. Now, it's starting to make sense though as to why she didn't want to give up that thing. She also has a monthly payment that she needs to pay. But it doesn't really matter because, well, we have our own butterfly so we can both be successful. And it was really sad. I was so excited to show these damn kids my butterfly, but cruelly it was just a trick because as soon as they open the door, we are then kicked inside. Kickstarting a very, very, very weird cutscene.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Aristocrat Club. Thank you all for gathering here today.
Hello. You guys collect dead butterflies?
You're a disgrace.
Nice.
Nothing worse than nothing.
Thank you.
Your gift is worth nothing.
I just shanked like 7,000 children. Don't make me do the same to you.
Amanda. There. Amanda.
What are you guys peer pressuring her to do?
Amanda.
I gotta say, I feel like the mouse is kind of chill. This shit is actually very gross. I just don't understand. Like, what are these noises? Also, that mouse looked low-key kind of cute. Like, am I tripping or am I tripping? Like, I don't know why that was so scary. I'm saying, bro, I told you I should have shanked her ass in the get-go. You just watched that scene of a woman getting, not even a woman, a child getting brutally bullied. And you're like, man, I love this child. This shit brings me back. What's going on, Kandala? Secondly, I feel like the game painted that to be a lot more drastic than it really was. Like, I mean, obviously I wasn't subject to being bullied like that, so I don't know. But like, that mouse seemed pretty cool to me. I thought the mouse was gonna be like, I don't know, I thought it was gonna start eating my face or something crazy. All she did was nudge my face a little bit, call me a disgrace, which is sad and scary and mean and stuff. But like, you know, I thought it was gonna get crazy, which, you know, it kind of. I don't know. She sounded like she was doing something different over there. Like so it made her feel some type of way. And I don't know if I enjoyed that. And then yet another month would go by, pulling us into the next chapter, this one being titled Sir Peter. In this chapter, we go back to the filth room with Buttercup. Yes, again, I know his name is Brown, but his name is fucking Buttercup, and you're not gonna fucking fight me on this shit, goddamn. Anyways, once waking up, we find a floral letter. In this letter, Amanda apologizes for what happened earlier, saying that she didn't want to do it, but she just didn't feel as if she had a choice and wanted to formally apologize to us. Giving the letter to Buttercup to sniff, we find Amanda very quickly. She would take a lift all the way up to, I guess, the highest parts of the airship. I don't know why. And when following her suit, we would climb the ladder, and yet another cutscene would play out.
I'm sorry, Jennifer. I'm sorry. I didn't want to do that. I was just so I did what I had to tonight. I had no choice. They would have hurt us both, wouldn't they? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But it's my turn. Don't think you have to hold back. Do it like this. And this. And this. And this. Oh, and this. And like this. And this. We're still friends, aren't we? I know we're still friends, Jennifer. Just
Amanda is by far one of the most uncanny characters within the game so far, and gaming period, dare I say. It's something about her mannerisms. It's something about what she does to me in terms of like emotional scaling. One minute I'm wanting to stab the hell out of her, and the next minute I can't help but feel terrible about her. Whatever the case, we are then prompted to go back into the airship. And when looking around, you can then find Amanda once again in her little sewing area. Trying to interact with anything in the room while she's present will reward you with a scowl and a growl. You getting the hint, you should just leave, and while outside, we would get a ball thrown at our head. And once reading it, apparently Amanda and I are to report to the club immediately. Amanda would come outside and basically say that she's a little upset that she can't finish this gift that she was making for us, but alas, she said she'll get back to it as soon as possible. Now, annoyingly in my head, they said report to the club, so I go to the club, only for the door not to open up for us. And when sniffing out for Amanda using the floral letter, she's just on all fours looking for this Sir Peter. Apparently that was our task. We need to find this person named Sir Peter. I don't know what that is. And so of course, in Yuri fashion, I fucking get lost. But the entire time I was looking for a person or even a certain point, a bird, I was supposed to be looking for a damn bunny. And so when seeing the bunny, we would chase after it and would basically lead us back to the filth room. Within the filth room, a bunch of writings can be seen on the wall, but most importantly, Peter's belongings lay on the ground. We would then sniff it out, and we would basically follow Buttercup while a heap of enemies tried to stop us. Finding the bunny in various places over and over and over again, Buttercup would start to follow this blood trail. And when peeking across, we would see those strange enemies, those children, beating the hell out of this bloody bag that can only resemble what's inside being a bunny, probably Sir Peter. Pure-hearted and full of worry, Jennifer would run over to the bag and inspect it, only to be found out by this weird guy, his name being Mr. Hoffman.
Why, you little rat, Jennifer? Did you make a mess again? This is unforgivable, you dirty, dirty girl.
He believes us to be the reason as to why there's such a mess over there and starts swinging on us with a stick or a baton. I'm not really sure, but he starts swinging on us. Whatever it is, this is our first boss battle, and of course I did it on my first try because I'm goated with the sauce.
Bro, please. Please. I do not want to do this again. He hit me? Bro, this man did this! No way I lost to this stupid fucking dude. What kind of hitbox do we got going for us?
Yeah, no, I lied. I died again. But let's be real. Did you see how he hit me and killed me? Like, what's my hitbox looking like? What in the world? Of course, we would finally defeat the guy, and the cutscene for his death is actually super gruesome. Alas, when he does die, he drops a warm bag, and when using the warm bag for Buttercup to sniff out, we go all the way back to the club room, and Lord and behold, the buddy's not dead. I don't know how Sir Peter didn't die. It was covered in so much blood, but somehow Peter survives. He survived. Due to our good deeds, we go back into the room, and they are doing some type of ritual prayer thing. The higher ups in this club then spot us, that being Jennifer and Amanda. They call Jennifer to the front and explains that basically due to what we did this month, we have been promoted, and of course Amanda has been demoted. As such, we are to do what she did to us last chapter.
Jennifer. 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 Jennifer.
Now being much worse, as the rat had been decayed and has maggots all over it. And then we pass out from doing such a terrible thing. Once waking up, the prince tells us that he's glad that we're remembering how much of a bad girl we've been, but says how we still don't remember. And so we are then given 3 choices to make. We can choose any short story, storybook, whatever you want to call it. We can choose either one of them. And apparently, due to my luck, I chose to click from right to left. And we would grab A Tale of a Mermaid. By far one of the hardest chapters in the game. Chapter 4 begins with Jennifer reading the Mermaid storybook. The story is basically about a mermaid who loved a man but was not allowed to love him, so she just got old becoming uglier and dying alone. When finishing up the book, we would come to see the mean girl from last chapter, I believe her name is Diana, mentions how the fish being gone would get her in a lot of trouble. She then walks out. When leaving the room after her, we'd hear a cry coming from one of the little girls. When going to investigate, we see the youngest child, and she seems to be crying at the gift. Turns out this month's gift needs to be an unmarried mermaid. How in the world are we going to find that? No wonder she's crying. She's cooked. But again, once leaving the room and going down the stairwell, we would hear a conversation take place. The Code Princess and the Wise Princess would be speaking about Diana. How what they did was a bit cruel, but it needed to happen. Jennifer would then walk up to both of them, and then they then ask if we actually believe in mermaids or if it's just all fables. And then they then leave, leaving a fish scale behind. Using the fish scale for Buttercup to sniff, we follow Buttercup throughout the entire airship. Reaching the outside portion of the airship, we'd see Mr. Hoffman make his way with one of the girls to this back area. That does not look good at all. Eventually, we would be led by Buttercup to a lower area to the airship. Here, we would find a fish's head and a cleaver. Very strange. When then picking up the fish's head and sniffing it out, we would follow Buttercup once again. However, this time the fish's head would lead us to a doll who had been ripped in half, only the legs being the thing that remains. What in the world is going on? And of course, when picking up that doll and sniffing it, it'll take us to a room. And here I want to talk about a couple of things, okay? So you go on this super long walk, and obviously I'm playing the game blind, and my chat is constantly telling me, yo, you need to make sure you save, please save, save. Problem is, I don't know where the save portion is at. I'm not gonna walk halfway across the map just to save, like that would be redundant, right? So I'm pretty much just walking willy-nilly, and we'll find a save file at some point. I haven't saved the entire chapter. And then they hit me with the worst enemy in the game. As you would come to find out, each of these stories are going to have enemies relating to said story. So obviously this one is about mermaids, fish, and so the enemy are fish. These dumbass enemies are fish children, where when you hit them, or basically when you hit them once, they will flop on the ground and stun lock you with at least 2 hits. So if there's 7,000 of them and they're all flopping on the ground at the same amount of time, you're just going to sit there getting stun locked until you're dead. And so I ignorantly just thought, hey, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to take the damage. I have food and I'm going to continue forward. Not realizing that behind this fuckery will be an entire boss battle. And not just any boss battle, the hardest boss in the game. Not because she's hard to deal with, but because the janky ass controls, the camera angles, everything about this game is just at an all-time high during the fight. Needless to say, I started off relatively happy and excited to play the game, and then I died and had to replay the chapter again, and then I died again, so then I have to do it again, and again, and again. Gonna make me cry tears of frustration. Oh my god! I love just standing in poison where I can't walk. I have to get hit 4 times. That's so cool. So amazing. So great. So cool. So amazing. I can only imagine what her story is. That was a different animation. Dude, it's really hard for me to care. I'm just not fucking caring right now.
What in blazes? Just who did this? Who made this mess? Was it you? Go on, tell me. Answer me, Diana. No new mummy or daddy will ever want you if you don't like that. No, I won't be angry. Just answer me. It was you, wasn't it? You were in charge after all.
Yuck! How disgusting. Ugh. Oh, now I see. It was you. It was your fault that I got into trouble. Give it here. Oh my, I see a stain. I've got to clean it up, or Mr. Hoffman will be angry with me.
And so the chapter doesn't end just yet. I totally forgot to mention that this entire sequence that we're going through is basically us reading different pages of storybooks that are supposed to re-jog our memory. But none of them has the ending page. And so for the next 3 chapters, we're basically going back looking for these words that we swore to ourselves that we would never forget. And this one being, I am yours. For chapter 5, I chose to read the storybook called Goat Sisters. Now, Goat Sisters is basically about this one goat sister who keeps writing letters and trying to get the attention of the other goat sister. But the other sister would either just munch on the letter itself or rip it to shreds, never reading it. And so one day, one of the goat sisters really wants her to read the damn note. So she rips open her belly to get, the shredded notes or the shredded letter back, so that way she can read it to her, only to realize that while doing so, she killed her sister in the process. So how is she supposed to read the letter? Who is this letter for? But of course, the last page is missing until we start this chapter off. When coming to, Jennifer would see the wise-looking princess wondering where she put this mysterious item. She would then walk away deep in thought. And so we already know what to do. She would leave behind a pencil, and so we would take the pencil and have Buttercup sniff it, so that way we can figure out what the culprit is. The pencil would lead to a poster of an alliance, of allegiance. That's the word. I don't really know what it's really meant for, but it's an allegiance thing. And so, using the poem to sniff yet another location out, we try to find whatever it is that Meg, that's the wise-looking princess, is looking for. This chapter is basically just a big scavenger hunt, so I guess strap in, But essentially that poem would lead to a freezer room, and within it we would find a love poem. Apparently Meg loves Diana. And then we are then attacked by some weird goat variation of the enemies we have fought before. We shank them to death with an ice pick. But again, once following the love letter, it would lead us to, well, Diana. We'd find Diana and the gold-looking princess speaking. I think her name is Eleanor. Apparently, she has already seen this letter and ripped it to shreds. She said she tried to even feed it to the goat, but the goat wasn't having it because the goat's not an idiot. It's not going to eat paper. But she would turn to Jennifer, noticing us in the back and saying how she wants us to find the rest of the letter. So that way I guess she can rip the rest to shreds. I'm actually not sure about this part. All I do know is that we're being set up. You'll come to understand. Because after a long wild goose chase, we would find the letter. And this entire time, Meg has been looking for said letter. And of course, when she finds it, she finds it in our hands. So she believes us to be the culprit of taking her beloved item. Seems as if Diana and Eleanor knew exactly what they were doing and did this shit on purpose. Smiling, knowing that this was how it was going to end. And with the wrath of betrayal and jealousy, Meg would give us the onion bag.
Why do you have it? How could she? How could she do that to me? What did I ever do to her? I can't get along with girls like her.
It's into the onion bag for her.
Absolutely fucking gross. I don't think I like that at all. But alas, living through the nightmare, Jennifer would find the last page of the Goat Sisters. And the word she would remember would be true love. In chapter 6, this is called Bird of Happiness. This is the last storybook that we'll be talking about. Within this storybook, it talks about the Bird of Happiness, or at least looking for one. Opening up each box, you would find, or at least hope to find, the Bird of Happiness. And each time you would open it up, it would be a smaller box within a smaller box, I suppose, until you would come across the box that is way too small, and the bird would be tragically dead because it couldn't fit in the box. And like I said, of course, there is no last page, so we gotta look for it. And so when starting off the chapter, we are tasked with finding the red bird. I think the Cold Princess Eleanor has the bird. We've seen it before briefly, and we would only have one small little feather to find the little guy. So me and Buttercup would get to work looking for this thing, and we pretty much would get very close to finding it. The feather would eventually lead us to a bunch of corridors, and then it would even lead to the bathroom. And while looking in the bathroom, we would hear giggling and laughing and running about, and so Jennifer would get spooked and run into the stalls. But it turns out it's just, I think her name is Meg and Diana, playing a cruel joke. They hid away the bird somewhere. They think themselves as cruel, but they quickly overshadow that with just saying that, well, Eleanor deserved it. And then they run out of the bathroom. What douchebags. But we are not sneaky enough, because when we go out of the bathroom, the two girls are waiting in line, saying that eavesdropping is a very bad girl thing to do. But quickly, they say that actually they have found the bird already, and it's in one of the many rooms here. They just can't remember which one. And so they give us the task to find it. Great, another puzzle. This one is a bit weird to explain, but essentially things are paralleling with the storybook. And so we do in fact find a room with this mysterious safe right in the middle, but we don't have any combinations. So we would have to look around for different items within the corridors to find the combinations. For example, the first one is from a storybook of a population of birds in like 834 BC or something like that. And so then the combination would be 834, and so on and so forth. But I'm pretty much just going to ignore all the other things. Like I said, it was just a big scavenger hunt. So we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. Each time you put in a combination, a smaller safe would be inside, mirroring the storybook that we just read. And after about 3 or 4 safe combinations, little guy is in the very last one. And you know how the story ended. He was not alive.
It wasn't me, honest.
But at last we would find the very last words we cannot forget. Everlasting. And when waking up, we would be back in the actual orphanage. This chapter is titled The Gingerbread House. We are no longer in the orphanage. Once we open up this door, we are in a home. And when exploring, you can kind of just hear this guy talking to themselves. He does not seem to be very well. But we would find ourselves going back down into the basement, finding a room. And when entering, we would see the guy who gave us the Cloverfield guidebook with the gun to his temple. He turns to us like normal, telling us good night and calling us Joshua? Who in the world is Joshua? That is a name I've never heard. But you are given the chance to look around the room, and we can all pretty much just find essentially a uniform of the little boy. It just looks like whatever the prince has been wearing this entire game. And then you can also try to leave the basement, but you simply can't. The door is locked from the outside, but when knocking over this teddy bear that was like a little too high for Jennifer to get, someone would call our name saying that they're gonna get us out. After enough time of waiting, she will in fact open the door from the outside and tells us to escape. We are going to run away from the home, but before then, we actually need to get the bad thing that the father has. Meaning his gun. We're going to take his gun so that way he cannot harm himself, I suppose. And so we run into a study, retrieving the gun, and the father would quickly realize that, well, we're not in our room anymore, so he starts looking for us. And so me and this little girl, Wendy, begin to run. I'm not really sure if this is remotely a big reveal because I've never heard the word Wendy nor Joshua. Those two names just don't ring a bell. But whatever it is, her name is Wendy. And leaving the estate, we would finally get to the rose garden. And here we would find the little girl with the teddy bear. She would then name it Joshua. But then Wendy would feel kind of bad because I gave her the teddy bear, but she didn't give me anything back. So she would then give us this red pendant, something that we've been wearing this entire game. And even more mind-boggling, we would redo our promise, our vows. Everlasting true love, I am yours. Brother in Christ, I don't understand. So you mean to tell me that the prince's name is Joshua, right? But then the teddy bear's name is Joshua, and the father's name is potentially Joshua, and Jennifer isn't Wendy, which I thought at first that was a young Jennifer, but that's not the case. But Jennifer knows the pact. I must be missing something. Anyways, we would then wake up, and I guess the prince would steal the teddy bear back. I'm not sure. And he would basically tell us to go speak to Amanda. And it has been a while, hasn't it? We have not seen Amanda in at least 3 or 4 chapters now. The next chapter is The Rag Princess. You know, a chapter that revolves around Amanda is deemed to be unpleasant, but we start by hitting the ground running. Jennifer notices that the gift of this month is an emergency one. Someone took the teddy bear, and the reward is quite high because whoever finds it are allowed in the top 3 of the club, the red crayon individuals. And thus, Jennifer starts her investigation. The first person she's going to look for is essentially Amanda. But let's face it, Amanda has been super quiet lately, all the way back from like chapter 3, since we put that rat in her face. She's just been sewing away. So what is she making? She's a little suspicious. But strangely, when going down to her sewing area, the father, I guess, would be standing right outside of Amanda's door, saying that he hopes that Joshua likes the newest story he made. And when reading it, it's the Rag Princess, aka Amanda. Not 100% sure what this means just yet, but interesting. But once going in, Amanda is in a very bad mood. She scowls at us, she ignores us. She must still be salty about what we did. Even when we try to touch something in her room, she just barks at us like something's wrong with the girl, okay? But once leaving, Amanda would come to us saying that she knows who took it. It was the girl. It was Wendy. The one who's always sick, who's always in sick bay. Wendy, huh? That's a name that we heard just now. And with that, we go over to see Wendy, and she is in fact in sick bay. We find her collapsed on the floor, and when investigating her, she says that a group of kids already came over saying that she's the one who stole it, but she can't. She's sick. That's her alibi. She can't even walk straight, let alone grab a teddy bear. And so when going back to report it to Amanda, she ain't nowhere to be found. But Diana is in her seat. This means that now Amanda's not in her room, we can look around, and we do find some suspicious stuffing in her sewing kit. Using that to sniff it around and allow Buttercup to follow the scent, bing bong like clockwork, it sends us straight to Amanda, who's carrying our body. What? Once she gets on the lift, she like kills the power or something like that, so we can't follow her. And so we go on this wild goose chase that we have to go all the way to the other side of the airship map, turn on the generator, but obviously there's enemies that litter the hall, so you gotta dodge them, bob and weave, you know what I'm saying? And of course, when you get there, one of the little kids takes the lever just to be a troll. And so then you are forced to go on yet another wild goose chase. You gotta go to the pantry and get the lever, and put it back on the generator, and restart the generator, and then make your way all the way back to the lift. And when we take the lift up to see Amanda, I will not lie to you, this has probably been the most uncomfortable cutscene in this game thus far.
I'm fine, really. I'm not upset at all. Oh, Jennifer. You know what? I've got something special. Look! Isn't he cute? Here, it's yours. Give it as a gift and you'll be Miss Popular again.
Upon waking up, the little boy, the prince, would steal the teddy bear back, that son of a bitch, and so he would take the lift and start yet another wild goose chase. I digress. Once you run after the child, he keeps sending waves of enemies at you, and they actually do a pretty decent amount of damage. The first one is easy. Second one, they have these enemies that hit you with a broom or something. That does a lot of damage. It's so annoying. And then third, they send even more enemies, plus those that tackle you. It's so very annoying. But alas, if you survive the onslaught of attacks, make your way all the way back to the aristocrat club, you would find the teddy bear just perpendicular to the club door. Too good to be true, in my opinion. A child would then leave out of the door in perfect timing to see that Jennifer has the bear. Now this could either be super good for us, or this could just be really bad and they could simply say that we stole it.
Come here, Jennifer. Let's have a little talk.
She's the one who stole it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Aristocrat Club. A word from the princess. Jennifer has brought a wonderful gift to the Aristocrat Club. Now you can have your very own red crayon. Hats off to you. Hats off to you. Hats off to you. Hats off to you.
No, please.
I wish for only bad things to happen to Amanda. Anyways, next chapter. The next chapter is called funeral. We see Jennifer back in the filth room from the very beginning of the game. However, this time she is littered with red crayon and even spits out a bunch of red crayons. I think it's safe to say that we are back into reality. Buttercup would then get up and help us out of the ropes that binded us. Heading downstairs, we would see Mr. Hoffman alive and speaking with the children. He would turn to Jennifer and say that we decided to play hooky and he wants us in his office. I'm sure that this whole situation is meant to make you feel annoyed and betrayed, just as Jennifer probably feels, but it really does piss me off. You can 100% see that she is covered in red crayons, looks distressed, and even looks like she's on the verge of tears, and yet you choose to ignore. I think this chapter really aims to showcase just how alone Jennifer felt. When going to the office, Mr. Hoffman would ask, why won't she just be like the other children and actually be helpful? It's like she's not even being seen. And then later, when walking up to a couple of children, they would describe their glances at her, looking as if they are tiring from an old toy. The narrator would say no matter how hard she tried to smile, no one would see it. No matter how hard she would cry, she was always alone. When she would try to comfort a child in distress, she would instead make them cry more. Whenever kids laughed, she was the butt of the joke. And even when so-called friends who used to be by your side, they are now forcing themselves to ignore your very existence. Jennifer was truly alone, and things just kept escalating. Paper balls being thrown at the head of Jennifer, stating lying thief, to then escalating to apologize by dying, to then being physically assaulted by a child who pushes her down the stairs. This part of the game really showcases just how scary it can be when bullying takes the next step. And cruelly, next month's gift is Jennifer herself. And for the next 15 to maybe 20 minutes of the game, you just fight off endless hordes of enemies trying to kill you. But soon enough, you will make your way back out to the courtyard and you would see Wendy. Moving past her, you would go to inspect the casket, and by the casket there is a storybook. In this storybook, it is essentially telling you that one day a young girl would find a hole. She was then told that this hole was meant for her, but she doesn't really want to be buried alive, does she? The only way out of this is a sacrifice. You have to bury your own best friend. I don't really know how this story ends, considering there is no last page, but once going inside, you could hear her friend crying for help. Throughout the orphanage, you would find these stuffed toys that look suspiciously like a dog. And it's almost as if Jennifer is trying to block this negative event that happened to her. But she just keeps on finding them until she walks into the Aristocrat Club. Only to find that the monthly gift is different this time. They are to find Filthy Brown.
Your friend is in the bag. It's too late now. My friend! Give me back my friend! you? How could you believe all those lies? Aristocrats! You're just the opposite. I hate you, and I hate you, and you! And I hate myself the very most for playing your stupid games and not having the strength to stand up to you. It's all just hideous.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. She threw hands. They was really sitting here acting like the dog's in the bag. Ear dogs in the bag. And guess what, bitch? These hands are rated E for everyone. Chapter 10. This is a big one. I'm pretty sure this is probably one of the last chapters of the game, and it's probably going to have some of the most important details of the game. It starts off with the cutscene of the father waiting outside the orphanage. It would seem as if we have the respect that our name deserves, because every child we walk across seems to bow to us. And then we are then introduced to the aristocrat club. The three girls all look to us, calling us Princess Jennifer and asking for our guidance. Even Amanda's bitch ass is on all fours, begging for us to give her guidance. Shut the fuck up, you dumb bitch. However, apparently Wendy is now ostracized, and nobody really messes with her and thinks she's a liar. So, when one of the children are looking outside and they see and look at Wendy, everyone pretty much just ignores her. However, not Jennifer. Jennifer was never that type of person. Jennifer would go outside and would encounter who we thought was Prince Joshua. He then points at us and tells his new dog, which is the father, I think, Gregory, to go and attack us. A fight then ensues, and of course Jennifer would come out victorious. It's here where we learn that the prince was just a farce. The entire time it was Wendy acting as Joshua. She felt jealous that Jennifer loved the dog more than she loved her. But now she's gone and created a monster. She's gone too far. And the only person that can even stop this monster she created is, well, Jennifer and Brown. I have a strange feeling that this is meant to be some form of a symbolic meaning to it, but I don't really know. But we do, however, get a name for this individual. As I stated, his name is Gregory. We would then fight Gregory and use the gun to defeat him permanently.
I'm sorry, Joshua. Yes.
After his defeat, Jennifer and Brown would make a run into the blinding light, giving us the absolute final chapter. So chapter 11, final chapter. It is a very, very quick one. We come to see a young Jennifer. And we would come to see her and Wendy's notes between each other. It would either seem as if Wendy had a big old crush on Jennifer and Jennifer just did not reciprocate it, or the two of them were in a romantic relationship and things just kind of felt weird because of Brown. Whatever it was, Wendy didn't think that Brown was a good fit for her and was jealous that she was giving Brown more attention than her. But whatever it is, we see it firsthand, as when Jennifer goes outside, they introduce each other with a bow and a kiss on the cheek, and then a bow and a kiss on the forehead. And then she leaves the estate to go see Brown in the shed. Brown is very young at this time and is just a puppy, but she shows it love and takes care of it, and even promises that she will keep it alive. It will not die, not as long as she lives. She then puts the collar on him and then leaves. And then the game ends.
Oh yeah! Bow, bow, bow! I got my guns.
You know, you guys, I actually don't even like work out. I mean, I work out every day, but I don't like go crazy. I think I literally just don't have any fat, that like the little bit that I do, I get like as much muscle as I need. And I'm like, what the fuck? I barely do anything. But it's alright. It's okay. Anyway, back to the story at hand here. So that was the end of the game. I didn't really realize, but this game's ending was like surrounded in obscurity. People didn't understand what exactly was happening, and people didn't understand why the ending was so loosely tied together to everything. But I think what people don't really understand is that the game actually explains pretty much everything you need to know. You just have to understand what it is that it is trying to say, and what type of story it is at the very end of the day. I think there's a lot of moving points here. I think everybody's so focused on the chronological order of it, what's real, what's fake, what's happening. But I truly believe that when writing the story was meant to be an advocate, not an advocate, but like a public service announcement on bullying and things like that. And it's all supposed to just be like a story of what not to do. Don't treat people this poorly. Don't let envy and jealousy ruin friendships and love ships and stuff like that, But as I am, I do like talking about the chronological what's actually happening, but I do want to talk about how this game affected me and how much I really enjoyed the game. I'm going to talk about like the biggest point that I feel most attached to, but as you know, recently I have gone through a pretty major change in my life in terms of having someone in my life that was prevalent for 3 years to then being not gone, but just having to change the relationship between us. And at the beginning, I felt as if I could understand Jennifer and how she felt being truly alone. I know that one thing is a relationship ending, and then the other is actually being bullied just constantly by everyone. But they both coincide with this overarching feeling of loneliness. And I do truly think that I understand how she felt in some type of regard. The word loneliness is so interesting because you can say one thing like, I'm lonely, and you can physically feel lonely. You can emotionally feel lonely, like no one can ever hope to even dare to understand you. And then you can be spiritually lonely, where you just don't feel like you're connected to yourself, or even religiously lonely, where you don't feel the loving embrace of God, for whatever reason. And I wouldn't say I'm all those. I would just say that simply, I think I am truly just emotionally lonely. I think that I have a really good backing. I have some really close friends that I can speak to, but at the end of the day, I'm looking for something. And I think coinciding that with Jennifer and her whole thing is that, and I'll get more into this because I do think knowing her backstory will make you understand why she interacted the way she interacted. But Jennifer just didn't get that love that she was looking for from Wendy. I do think she enjoyed being around Wendy, and I think that's why she got so upset at Wendy in that final scene. However, I think whatever she was getting from Brown was far more replenishing for her. She felt as if loving something unconditionally was something she needed. She didn't want someone to love her unconditionally. She needed something she needed to love unconditionally. But it's a very good story in that regard. Then obviously you have the subplots of like the bullying and the sexual harassment and how Mr. Hoffman would seem to be doing things as well. And I guess I'm trying to like dodge around the main focus of what I was wanting to talk about, which was essentially the main thing. So I'm gonna just tell you, because when I tell you, my brain, when it finally all coincided, here, take a gander. This is what's actually happening in the plot of Rule of Rose. And this will be the timeline of events coming from what we can infer that happened in Rule of Rose, because after you understand it, or after I explain it, you'll basically see it in its full capacity. You're going to be like, dang, everything really does make a lot of sense. And I love that the game, even though using the dream theory and using, dream versus reality, there's still very small parts of things that you can find and that relate back to reality. And I think that is amazing. So, as you guys know, the story starts in the 1930s, but we're actually going to go 1 year before the main events, 1 year before everything truly started. And you can only really learn about these things through readings and stuff like that and inferring different information. So in 1929, April of 1929, the world's largest airship is completed. A trip planned to occur in 2 months, and then it'll go through Cardington, England, and then to India. It was a huge deal, especially in the 1930s. A lot of people were looking forward to this. This was innovation at its finest, and this is also why a large chunk of the game takes place in the airship, because the airship is the catalyst to everything that happens. June of 1929, many things would happen. First and foremost, we would see Gregory write in his diary about how his son is ill. His name is Joshua, the ill son. And you can also read how there was a massive crash of the airship. It didn't go very far, but it ended in a lot of deaths and a lot of parents' deaths. And so meaning there was a lot of children without parents who needed to go to the orphanage. Now here, and you guys can pretty much, like if you know Rule of Rose, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there could be two of each things here where Joshua somehow died in the airship crash, or Joshua had died from his illness. Whichever it was, this started the downfall of Gregory's mental state. As I mentioned earlier, and you can read it in the Once Upon a Time chapter, Jennifer is the sole survivor of the airship crash, and she is eventually found by Gregory. And as I said, due to Gregory being a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, he believes Jennifer to be Joshua and kidnaps her. Hey guys, post-editing Yuri here. My room's a mess. I'm a mess. I wasn't planning to show my face, but no, that was completely wrong. Gregory didn't believe her to be Joshua. He simply was grieving and wanted to be reminded of Joshua, so he started dressing her up as Joshua. Due to the airship crash, a lot of children, as I stated earlier, are orphaned, many of which have gone to the Rose Garden Orphanage. There is a theory that a bunch of the children's parents died in the crash as well. As I stated, catalyst for everything. A string of missing children then starts to occur, and the notable theory that everybody pretty much just says, and I kind of believe this as well, is that Gregory was the one that abducted and killed all the children that were just going missing, like one after the other. But as I stated, Gregory was crazy, and so he took Jennifer in and would begin dressing her up as Joshua, his son, and would start even calling her Joshua. And in some point in November, Wendy was at the Rose Garden Orphanage, and she made contact with Jennifer, and it was love at first sight. They began to spread letters to one another, and that's when they created that promise, the everlasting true love, I am yours. And so for 1930s in January, Wendy and Jennifer decide to go to the Rose Garden orphanage, and things weren't always so bad for Jennifer. At a certain point, Jennifer and Wendy were besties. There was no craziness happening, but there were seeds of little things that happened from January to March. We could find like a journal in Mr. Hoffman's office where it dates March 2nd, and then he would explain that recently the children have been engaging in these odd activities and spreading disturbing rumors. Rumors about creatures that come after children who don't clean up, and stray dogs that kidnap small tots. It's all very bizarre. But then a couple months would go by, and Wendy's love would become ever stronger for Jennifer, and then Jennifer's love would kind of stagnate for Wendy, prioritize taking care of a puppy named Brown. And obviously we've seen how Wendy doesn't love Brown very much. Just as you saw the whole rumor about how the creature's going to come back for children who don't clean up and stuff like that, I think there was a bit of foreshadowing in that phrasing, as they would call anything they disliked filthy. And so they would call the dog Filthy Brown. And that's how she would refer to the dog. She would say the dog is too filthy for her. I don't know why she does this. And of course, things just keep happening. Obviously, a lot of other things are happening behind the scenes. There are signs of sexual abuse towards one of the children, Clara. And due to this, Mr. Hoffman would just disappear. And then also during this time, Jennifer would actually start going up in the scale. She was at first a bottom feeder in the aristocrat club, but as we saw in the fantasies, obviously some dreams are based on reality, and so 100% this did happen. And Amanda in the month of October started to bear a grudge against Jennifer, and more than likely was casted upon herself to get her in trouble the way that she did. All the while, this was this very same thing that was happening to Wendy. Wendy, this entire time, did not like the fact that she was giving Jennifer all this love and attention and Jennifer was not. And so at some point, through the month of July, through the month of pretty much November, Wendy just kept talking about and telling lies and saying all these things that she would do. And a lot of times when we would see the things that would happen in the fantasy land actually did happen in real life. They were just very, loosely based upon it. Wendy would share a bunch of lies and labels upon Jennifer's name, and then everybody started hating them. So Amanda would steal the teddy bear and she would get in trouble. Diana would blame her for stealing the fish and get her in trouble. And then Diana would set up Jennifer to pick up the love letter that was for her and get her in trouble, and then so on and so forth. And it just kept on and kept on until the month of November, where many things began to become very, very scary. November 23rd, Martha would actually witness Wendy dog training Gregory. She would see it and she wouldn't really tell anybody. She would just be freaked out. And later this month, Wendy would finally break and just kill Brown near the end of the month. And Jennifer would slap and snap at her, and Wendy was demoted. Then Wendy flees back to Gregory. This whole time she's been training Gregory out of some sick weirdness. Obviously, Gregory wasn't in his right mind, and so he became the stray dog. He became the legend that they would scare off people. And that is also how Wendy, in the first place, controlled everybody. It wasn't just rumors, it was also fear. Wendy would talk about the stray dog and say that if they didn't treat her poorly, then the stray dog would come and take all the bad girls. I digress. She actually had in mind Gregory. She created a monster, someone that was a beast. And we pretty much saw the way that ended. Wendy got slapped, she would run away and go back to Gregory, and later come back and set this monster on to everyone. And it's very largely implied that after he had killed all the people there, except for Jennifer, including Wendy, he massacred everybody in the orphanage. He then shot himself. and that is what we saw. And a big part of this is I'm pretty sure that this was all a dream. I don't think she realistically got on a bus and actually went back to the orphanage and looked at these things. Honestly, you could say that, but I think since this was 10 years ago and she was 9 when all this stuff started happening, I'm pretty sure she was about 19 to 20 years old, and this was all simply a dream of her trying to remember a forgotten promise that was very much there. And obviously it's safe to say that this is also largely part of a dream because Brown was there, but we know that Brown died as a puppy. And so I think Brown being there was more like a semblance of her trying to remember a past that she didn't want to remember. And that's pretty much the story. From betrayal to friendships to everything in between, that is the story. And it's an amazing story at that. I absolutely loved it. It was a very long one. There was a lot of moaning, and it was a lot of scary moments, janky ass controls, but all in all, a very good time. So if you guys enjoyed what you just saw here, please, Samurai Slide, no, please do the Holy Trinity and like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully if you got to this point in the video, you enjoyed what you saw, and you would subscribe to me, because there's gonna be so much more. Silk Song just came out. Somebody wants me to play this thing called Until Then, so we got a big stock coming out. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching. Peace out, goodbye, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.